Hello guys. In this tutorial we will study about a model, a classification model, and that is a new type of classifier, that is LR classifier, or you can say logistic regression classifier. Now what is that? So logistic regression is a technique that is used to explain the relationship between input variables and output variables. So basically we have to find here relationship between input variables and our output variables. So what are our input variable that you have taken as an input in your program or in your algorithm, and output variable, those variables which are denoting your output of the algorithm. Now input variables are independent variable because they're not depending on any data or something like that, and output variables are termed as dependent variable because they are depending on our input variables. The dependent variable values correspond to the classes of the classification problem. So your dependent variable values will correspond to the classes. Now what are the classes? We have studied in our previous tutorial about the classification process, and you know that basically we were classifying our data into classes, and here our dependent variable will correspond to those classes. Our goal is to identify the relationship between the independent variable and the dependent variable by estimating the probabilities using a logistic function. So its name is logistic regression classifier. Why? Because we are using here a logistic function for estimating that relationship between independent variables and dependent variables. That is your input variable and your output variables. Now, what is your logistic function? So basically, logistic function is a sigmoid curve, a special type of curve, that is sigmoid curve, which will be used to build a function with various parameters. So you are taking different parameters in that. Logistic regression by itself is actually not a classification technique, but we use it in this way so as to facilitate classification. So basically, this is not a technique for classification, but we are using in that way so that it can be used for classification. So let's see a program in Python for that, how we will build a classifier. And before that program, you should know that you should have a tk-inter package installed on your system before you proceed. And if you don't have that package, then you can find it at this address. So just read that address carefully and install tk-inter package in your system. Then we can build a LR classifier. So let's see how we will build that classifier using Python.